Alright, Shalom. Before I get started, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kal Halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders apostles, great millstone, who rule well and teach well, and who are the true leaders of Israel today. Stand with Elder Apostle Tahar on down. Also, like to give double honor to the head and the elder of the Man of Israel camp, the Aunt Chazak, whom I teach under down here in Greenville, South Carolina. And I also like to give another shout out to you, Shishit Akim, your brothers out there that's pushing his word and his truth in all sincerity and righteousness in these last days. Alright, to y'all, like to say Shalom. Alright, now coming back to the spirit and power you have by Shion Washah with another exhortation video. And Lord willing, this video will be found edifying to whoever may watch. And pretty much I'm going to do a lesson. Alright, going into well, really it's a quick thought. I was thinking, while I was on the plantation earlier, today. Well, I just got off, but earlier that night, and I was just, thinking about my son. He's starting to walk, but he may fall at times. He take little baby steps, and then, maybe he probably go about a couple of feet, probably about 5 feet, and boom, drop on the ground. And there's two precepts that I thought about, while he was doing that, because like I say, he's just now, starting to walk. He's almost 1 year old, but like I said, I was thinking about two scriptures, to pretty much, correlate, with my son walking. I was thinking of these two precepts. One of the precepts is with Peter, walking, on water, when Yahweh told Peter, to walk on water. Peter was afraid. Peter walked on the water, but he was, also afraid. That's like, that's like my son. He's starting to walk for the first time, but at the same time, you can tell he's nervous because it's new to him. He's uncomfortable with it, but he's starting to be more comfortable, and that goes into what? Faith, because he's starting to have faith that I could walk now. He's learning. He's learning to build faith in him. Starting to walk now. So I wanted to correlate that, with the scriptures, man. So let's go to Matthew. All right, chapter 14, because it's in Matthew 14. All right. Let me see. I'm gonna start at verse 22. Matthew 14 and verse 22. And straightway Yahweh Shai constrained his disciples to get into a ship and to go before him into the other side, while he sent the multitude away. And when he had sent the multitude away, he went up into a mountain. He went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. You see, so basically, it was very strong high winds, right? Pretty much, if you look up videos on TikTok, you can go on TikTok or YouTube, whatever. Look up videos of the Pacific Ocean, and you just look how those waves can get. So pretty much, that's how it had to be. That's how the waves would have had to been. If just speaking as a man, I don't know, for sure, but the waves could have been something similar to that, man. Very high strong winds, right? So it says, verse 23, and when he had sent the multitude away, he went up into a mountain about to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone, but the ship was not in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. It said in the fourth and in the fourth watch of the night, Yahweh Shai went unto them walking on the sea. So Yahweh Shai was walking on water. And you have some people that don't believe that, they'll be like he had demons and stuff like that, whatever, madness, but That's because they unbelievers, man. You know, they don't believe in the miracles. So it says, verse 26, and when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, it is a spirit, and they cried out for fear. So they didn't know that was Yahushua. They thought it was just a spirit. They thought it was a ghost or something, you know, showing you, the disciples, they was, trying to, put it in terms how to say it. Pretty much, they was going off, man, and slow to speak, they was going off, but saying, he was just, it's a spirit, Verse 27, but straightway Yahushua speaking to them, saying, be of good cheer. It is I, be not afraid. So Yahushua had to tell them, look, don't be afraid. It's me. It's Yahushua, So Yahushua had to pretty much, tell them, hey, chill out, Verse 28, and Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me come into thee on the water. So Peter, which is the head disciple, he pretty much asked Yahushua, like, hey, if it's really you, hey, he said, if it's really you, hey, have me come, to you on the water. Have me walk to you on this water, right? And it says, and he said, come. Yahushua told Peter to, to come on. It says, and when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Yahushua. You see, so Peter actually walked on water, but, he took baby steps, just like my son. My son had to take baby steps, but that baby steps going to end up leading him to actually walking fully. And that's going to have him, fully, having faith in him. He gonna have faith within himself that he can walk. Just like Peter, if he would have continued to trust in Yahushua, right? If he would have continued to have faith in Yahushua, he would have kept walking, He would have kept walking. He wouldn't have had, sunk. I'm going to read it, verse 30. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid and beginning to sink. He cried, saying, Lord, save me. You see that? So just like my son, I guarantee you, if my son take those little baby steps, and I do something to, pretty much scare him or, anything, just, stomp real loud, he might fall, But, once he get used to, walking, like right now, if he, let's just say if he get up, I'm just say 2 years old, he should be able to fully walk without any problems. He should be able to fully walk. You see? Because he got faith now. He's built up to walk now. So if Peter would have, continued to trust, he would have been able to, continue to walk on that water like Yahushua. It says verse 30, but when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid and beginning to sink. He cried, saying, Lord, save me. See, so like I said, with my son, if I scare my son, he gonna drop. But if he get 2 years old and I do the same thing, I try to scare him, more than likely he's not gonna fall, man. Or I'll just say 5 years old, because 2-year-old, they might just, they might still fall on the ground, but it's not gonna be, it's not gonna be that easy like how it was when he was 1 year old. So let's just say about 5, 6 years old, 5 to 6 years old. Hey, he's not gonna fall. He might jump up, but he's not gonna fall. So like I said, with Peter, if he would have, have faith, continue to have faith and believe, he would have never fell. The same goes with us. We gotta remember, we gotta take those baby steps, but at the same time, we still gotta have that faith. Speaking of myself first and foremost. Verse 31, and immediately Yahushua stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto him, O thou little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt? You see that? So Peter doubted Yahushua pretty much, man. Because if he didn't doubt Yahushua, like I said, he would have continued to walk. But he didn't. He fell and sunk, and Yahushua had to pull him out. the same with my son. He's gonna continue to fall, but eventually he's gonna have faith where he feel like he can just walk and not fall. You know. Let's get this last one. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 24, verse 16. For a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. You see that? It says, for a just man falleth 7 times. Yeah, like I said, my son, he's gonna continue to fall, right? But eventually he's gonna get back up. And guess what? Over time, after he done fell multiple times, eventually he's gonna get it. You know, the same with us. We're gonna fall 7 times. We're gonna fall many times. But guess what? We're gonna rise back up and get back on our feet, man. You know, we ain't gonna just fall and just not get back up and just you know, just be crawling for the rest of our lives. No, we're gonna rise back up and continue to walk in His faith, to walk in His walk. You know, like He commanded us to walk this truth and sincerity. You know, so like I said, man, hey, we're gonna fall short, you know, but we're not gonna fully, you know, give in. We may fall short sometimes, but guess what? We're gonna get back on our feet, and we're gonna make sure we do what we have to do, you know, to get through. The hell we may have to catch. Guess what? And we failed the first time. Guess what? We more than likely we ain't gonna fail that second time, man, because we learn from our mistakes. You know, that's rehearsing as well. That's part of the rehearsing. Is learning from your mistakes. That's the whole point of rehearsing. When you rehearse, you're gonna mess up in doing rehearsals because you're practicing. You see? But what they say, practice makes what? Perfect. Practice makes perfect, man. You know, if you're not practicing, that's because you're not trying to be perfect. And we trying to be perfect because the scriptures tell us to be perfect, just like how Yahweh, just like how Yahweh Shah was perfect. You know. So Lord, when that quick little thought was edifying, you know, like I said, man, I was on the plantation thinking about, you know, my son walking, and I pretty much was thinking of thought of those 2 scriptures while I was thinking of that, and I decided to do a lesson on it, quick little lesson on it. So Lord willing, you can make lessons out of anything, man. Hey, you can just think of something, you know, and boom, you got a lesson. But anyway, man, Lord willing, this video was edifying. I'm gonna close it with giving all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechak Wadash. Double honor to the elders apostles of Great Millstone, who rule well and teach well, and who are the true leaders of Israel today, starting with Elder Apostle Tahon down. And double honor to the head and the elder of the man of Israel camp, the Chazak, whom I teach under down here in Greenville, South Carolina. And shalom to you, sincere Akim. Shalom.